Again, my name is Mike Tidwell. I'm Director of Chesapeake Climate Action Network. And again, I want to thank all of you who've come today. Again, there are people who got up at 4 a.m. this morning in order to be with us, and we really, really appreciate it. We have been working on this issue now. This is our third General Assembly session that we've worked on this issue. And I will say that on the issue of fracking in Maryland and getting real protections so that we know that we're not going to be another Pennsylvania, when it comes to that issue of fracking protections, I have good news and bad news. Okay, so let's start with the bad news. I always want to get the bad news out of the way first. Okay, the bad news is something that we already know, and that is this controversial drilling technique just continues to expand in states on our border, in Pennsylvania. They're at, I don't know, a couple of thousand wells, on their way to up to 100,000 wells, I think. I mean, you're talking about a lot of drilling, and they're moving forward. West Virginia, same thing. Ohio, that's the bad news. And we know that these same companies are knocking on the door of Maryland. Thank goodness. We're one of only 2 states, I think New York is the other, that has shale gas under our soil that is not yet fracked. And that's because of the hard work that all of you have done, and we're going to talk about that. But the bad news is that it continues around us, and the polluters want to come here. They have not given up. They have not given up, and they've let it be known to the General Assembly that they do not intend to give up until they frack. That is their agenda. Their business plan is to bring the carbon up from the ground and put it in the air. Many of you know Bill McKibben's campaign, the Do the Math Tour, the Do the Math campaign. The polluters, the hydrocarbon companies, the frackers, the oil companies, the coal companies, they have 5 times more carbon energy, known reserves in the ground worldwide than is necessary to completely destroy our climate. They have 5 times more than they need to do it. And the polluters want to come here, and they want, as part of that, they want to frack in Maryland. Now, staying on the theme momentarily on the bad news is we had a bill, a moratorium bill, that because of your hard work, because of your phone calls, your emails, you're coming to Annapolis, we almost hit a home run in the Senate, right over here in this building. Last week, we lost by a vote of 6-5 in committee in the Economic, Education, Health, and Environmental Matters Committee. We came as close to winning as you could come without winning. 6-5. I told a journalist with the Baltimore Sun that we almost hit a home run. Instead, we hit it to the warning track, right? Baseball analogy. Almost went out of the park. And we're going to practice our swing in the off season, and we're coming back to take some more hacks next year. Is that right? Yes. The polluters will not rest until they think they're going to win, and God knows we're not going to rest until we win. Now, we lost 6-5. That was a bill, a moratorium bill, that would have done 3 things. It would have insisted on real studies, on real safety procedures, and real carbon pollution, and real truck traffic, real studies with integrity. Those would have to be done before anybody gets a permit to frack. Number 2, there'd have to be an 18-month pause where the General Assembly had to look at that study, had to look at it. And number 3, that the governor's agencies had to develop regulations based on those studies, and if they decided that there was too much information to show that fracking was unsafe, then they would not issue regulations. That bill lost 6-5. We came as close as we could come to hitting that home run. So that's the bad news. The good news is, you've already said it, we're never going to give up, right? We're never going to give up. I've been a climate activist for 10 years. We've passed landmark legislation on clean cars, greenhouse gas reductions, cleaning up coal-fired power plants, offshore wind. You might have heard of it. Now, 3 years ago, they told us offshore wind, you're not going to do it. Natural gas prices are low. Those folks at Cape Wind can't even get that one built up in Massachusetts after 10 years. Delaware is having problems moving forward. Give up. You're not going to do it. It's too expensive. Technology's not proven. Offshore wind, what the heck? You know, we were told you can't do it. We lost 3 years ago. We lost last year. But we have a motto in the clean energy movement in Maryland that is successful. And that motto is, build the biggest coalition you possibly can for your issue, number 1. And number 2, never, ever, 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 ever give up. And if you do that, if you do those 2 things, build a big coalition never give up. You get an offshore wind bill. If you do those two things, you can stop dangerous fracking. Am I right?